Good morning to all my dear students of MSc Mathematics, second year, semester third. Today we'll start the unit second of fluid dynamics. Notes of the unit first are uploaded on the description box of lecture 4. So you can collect the notes of unit first from the description box of the lecture 4. Now in this equation of motion of a fluid, first point is pressure at a point in a fluid at rest. Let us now suppose that the fluid is at rest, then at any point P within the fluid there is a hydrostatic pressure due to the density of the fluid. In order to explain the existence of this pressure, it is necessary to resort to molecular considerations. If at point P, we insert a small rigid plane area, that rigid plane area is delta A, then either side of delta A will be repeatedly bombarded with molecules of a fluid moving randomly in all directions. As the fluid molecules impinge on one side of the area, they transfer momentum to the area in a specified time, thereby exerting a force delta F on the area. An equal and opposite force is exerted on the fluid by this side of the area. If we suppose the linear dimensions of delta A to be large in comparison with molecular sizes, but small compared with the macroscopic fluid lengths, then delta A is at rest relative to the main body of fluid, the only motion being that on the molecular scale which we have just considered. In these circumstances, irrespective of whether the fluid is viscous or inviscid, delta F will act normally to delta A. Moreover, the mean force per unit area exerted on the one side of delta A will be delta F upon delta A. Now suppose delta A be made vanishingly small at point P. Then if we were to replace our molecular model by a continuous fluid, it would be responsible to suppose that at point P the value of this function delta F upon delta A, limit of a function of delta F upon delta A as this delta A tends to 0 would exist uniquely. We shall suppose this is to be so in the last resort. The apparent contradiction between this and the molecular model of a fluid as consisting of discrete randomly moving molecules must be resolved by experiment. In fact, for a medium of very rare density such as a might be created in an attempt to evacuate a closed vessel with highly efficient pump, the above supposition would probably break down. However, for liquids and for most gases, the supposition is believed to be valid. In these circumstances, if we denote the value of this unique limit, then P is called the hydrostatic pressure at P, capital P. Hydrostatic pressure at a capital P. Before passing on the case of pressure in a fluid in motion, we state few of the more important results in hydrodynamics, and that results are: number one, when the fluid is at rest, the pressure at internal point P is the same in all directions. Thus, in the above considerations, the orientation of delta A is immaterial. Number second, the pressure at all points at the same depth below the free horizontal surface of a fluid at rest is the same. At point P, distance h below the free surface, the pressure is pi plus rho gh, pi plus rho gh, where this pi is the atmospheric pressure at the free surface, and this rho is the fluid density, and this g is the acceleration due to gravity. Number third, if pressure is applied to the free surface of a fluid, it is transmitted equally to all parts of the fluid, and these results constitute a Pascal's laws for a static fluid. Now we will start the next point, that is a pressure at a point in a moving fluid. Let point P be a point in an inviscid fluid moving locally with the velocity vector q bar, and now insert a small rigid plane area delta A into the fluid P, but instead of having it at rest, let it move with the local fluid velocity q bar of P. Then only momentum interchange between fluid and plane is on the molecular scale, and as before, if delta F denote the force, delta F bar denotes the force exerted on one side of delta A by this momentum interchange, then this force is normal to delta A, and assuming the limit to exist uniquely, we take limit of a function delta F upon delta A as delta A tends to 0, which is equal to P, to be the pressure in the fluid at P. Now we shall show that P is independent of the orientation of delta A. It is important, however, that delta is at rest relative to the local fluid, that is, that it has the same velocity q at a fluid at P, where delta A at rest or moving with some velocity v other than q, the local fluid would have to be brought to rest or the velocity v, and this requirement would necessitate an additional exchange of momentum between fluid and boundary. We note that in the case of an inviscid fluid, when delta is situated tangentially to that local fluid velocity at P, the only momentum interchange between the fluid and surface is of the random molecular type, so that for this special orientation of the force, delta F would be the same irrespective of whether delta A is at rest, moving with the local fluid velocity q, or with some other velocity. Of course, for a viscous fluid, different velocities of delta A would result in a different frictional forces being called into play. Also, for viscous fluid, such friction forces will in general exist even where there is a relative rest between surface and local fluid, provided there is a velocity gradient along the normal. So uh, suppose we have uh, suppose that this this PQ P PQ RS is an element tetrahedron uh, whose edges consider whose edges this PQ is parallel to this OX axis, and PR, this PR is a parallel to OY axis, and this PS is parallel to OZ axis, this OZ axis. So this PQ is parallel to OX axis, this is OX axis. PR is parallel to this OY axis, and this PS is parallel to this OZ axis, and length of edges are length PQ. This length PQ is a delta x, this length PR is this delta y, and this length PS is this delta z at time t. The elemental tetrahedron is moving with the local velocity q of the fluid at pressure P on the triangle QRS, on the triangle QRS, this triangle. So this area of triangle QRS is equal to delta S. Area of triangle QRS, area of triangle this QRS is delta S. Suppose that L, M and N are the direction cosines of the normal to delta S, Therefore, total force exerted by the fluid on the face QRS is minus P delta S into Li plus Mj plus Nk is equal to minus 1 by 2 P delta Y delta Zi plus delta Z delta Xj plus delta X delta Y K. Since L delta S is a phase of PRS, which is equal to 1 by 2 delta Y delta Z. Since length delta S is a phase of PRS is equal to 1 by 2 delta Y delta Z. Now suppose that Px is a pressure on the plane PRS. Suppose that this Px is a pressure on PRS, this, and Py is a pressure on the plane PQS, this plane, and this Pz is a pressure on the plane PRQ, this PRQ. So therefore the area of faces are area of triangle PRS, area of triangle PRS is 1 by 2 delta Y delta Z. Area of triangle PQS is 1 by 2 delta X delta Z, and area of triangle PRQ is 1 by 2 into delta X delta Y. Therefore, forces exerted on the plane PRS on this plane by the outside fluid by the outside fluid 1 by 2 px delta y delta zi. The forces exerted on the plane PQS, this plane, by outside the fluid 1 by 2 Py delta z delta x j, and the force exerted on the plane PRQ this PRQ, this plane, by the outside fluid 1 by 2 Pz delta x delta y k. Therefore, total force on this tetrahedron, is equal to 1 by 2 px minus p delta y delta zi plus py minus p delta z delta xj plus pz minus p delta x delta y k. And suppose that the F is a mean body force per unit mass within the tetrahedron, and therefore total body force can be written as 1 by sigma, this is a small sigma, 1 by sigma rho into F delta x delta y delta z, where this rho is the density, fluid density, and therefore what we get? We get the net force from these two. We get the net force from these two. So what is the net force? That net force on the element is equal to 1 by 2 px minus p delta y delta z I plus py minus p delta z delta x j plus pz minus p delta x delta y k plus 1 by sigma rho f delta x delta y delta z. And suppose that q is the velocity, of p, then dq by dt is the acceleration of p, so that this 1 by sigma rho delta x delta y delta z, 1 by sigma rho delta x delta y and delta z is constant, and therefore what we get? Therefore we get the equation of motion. The equation of motion is 1 by 2 px minus p delta y delta zi plus py minus p delta z delta xj plus pz minus p delta x delta yk. The equation of motion is 1 by 2 px minus p delta y delta zi plus py minus p delta z delta xj plus pz minus p delta x delta yk plus 1 by sigma rho f delta x delta y delta z, and this is equal to 1 by sigma rho delta x delta y delta z into dq by dt. So this equation contains the quantities of the second and third order of a small quantities. When the edges of the tetrahedron heiniously small, then we get 1 by 2 px minus p delta y delta zi plus py minus p delta z delta xj plus p3 minus p delta x delta yk, which is equal to 0. And therefore by equating the coefficients we get this px is equal to py is equal to pz. And since choice of the axis is quite arbitrary, and therefore at any point P of a moving unviscid fluid, the pressure P at the same in all directions. So today we'll stop here. Tomorrow we'll see the next article. That article is Euler's equation of motion. Okay, today we'll stop here.